We are live. Welcome to my video. This is going to be my thoughts on Daredevil Born Again Season 1 Episode 1, Heaven's Half Hour. The episode is rated TVMA, so will this video be. Absolutely love this episode. This video will have spoilers for the episode and basically everything MCU and MCU adjacent, leading up to it. Lots to love here. Not sure I'm going to get to absolutely everything. My back is killing me, so is my head. Yes, so the one of the main things I definitely want to make sure to say is this has the best photography, editing, and lighting of recent, Marvel shows and movies, and really it ranks very high up there for all of them, from the very start of the MCU in 2008 with the first Iron Man movie. The way that it uses smoke and fog and some very striking lighting there at the end with the red, implying, Daredevil and his blood boiling at this. The use of silhouette during the one taker and just fantastic, and the use of focus as well. Something you'll notice, and I'm not the first person to point this out, but a lot of the MCU has this, basically, not necessarily absolutely everything in an image will be in complete focus, but they're very afraid of having something that's just out of focus. This episode does it several times to great effect. I quite appreciate this is very much Season 4 of the Netflix show. It is not at all trying to, I kind of almost feel bad for people who, are going to try to jump directly into this without having watched those. But then I'm pretty sure, I'm going to go ahead and check just to make absolutely certain that I'm not talking directly out my ass here. So the Daredevil show, all 3 seasons of the Netflix show are on Disney Plus, where, which is also the one place you can watch this, at least currently. Maybe they'll eventually make home media, but yeah. So, the MCU has long been criticized for homework. It's not that ridiculously long of a show. I think it's like 11 episodes per season, so 33 episodes or something. Anyway, if you go into this not already knowing Dex, the relationship between Karen, Foggy, and Matt, the background between Matt and Kingpin and all the stuff he's done, all these different things, this is not hand-holding at all, which is also quite unusual for the MCU. For a little while I wasn't sure if they were going to reference Echo, because there's that thing about, I was at your side for months while you were recovering. Does she know that he left for, it must have been days, right, during Echo? I'm not 100% sure. It's possible that he didn't tell her that whole thing. But yeah, they did eventually, during the excellent conversation. That's also, the MCU needs more of this. Just 2 people talking can be so deeply engaging if the writing, acting, and direction, brain skipped ahead, a couple of words there, a couple of syllables there, if they're on point, and they are here, and that's also a scene that's probably not going to hit anywhere near as hard if you don't already know the relationship between these 2 characters. But for those of us who did watch, everyone brings their A game. It's great to see everyone back. Really hope Dex is not out of the show now, which, pretty sure Foggy is, which I do feel bad for. I like Elton Henson a lot, and he was great in the Defenders verse. Daredevil, and he was briefly on Defenders as well. Not on the team, but on the show. I don't know. I'm holding off judgment on them killing him immediately, at all and immediately, because I want to see where they go. Because on the one hand, and to be clear, you know, I'm only talking about, like, in fiction. Obviously, in real life, death is tragic. In fiction, you know, an argument can be made that it's certainly going to push Matt to a place he hasn't been. You know, yeah. And I mean, an argument could be made for you know, it's not the first. Obviously, it's not the first time he's lost someone close to him, but yeah, he very much, like, he wanted to kill Dex. He tried to kill Dex. You know, it would have helped. It would have worked if he hadn't. If he had known. He thought it would work, but he didn't know about. Yeah, see what I'm talking about my head. Yeah. I don't usually trip quite this much over my own words. Sometimes other people's. If he had known about Dex's, I forget what it was, like a metal coating his spine, or there was something like that. You know, like he could have done something that would for sure kill him, but I'm pretty sure he didn't know. He thought it would kill him, and yeah. You know, by the time he realized that Dex was still alive, there were cops all around. So, you know. Let's see. Great to see Deborah Ann Woll back. I understand that she actually felt that her career was really stalling after the end of the Defenders verse, and that was genuinely upsetting to her, you know, understandably so. So, yeah, great to see her back, and you can tell from her performance here and from, like, interviews and such, like, she is so happy to be back. Like, you know, for her career to you know, get this boost, but also just, yeah, like, she, as far as I understand, she really loved working on the Defenders verse. And yeah, I mean, now that she's part of Disney, maybe she can pop up in some other Disney thing. I could see her play something in Star Wars for sure. You know, she could play one of the tough female characters, you know, 100%. I think that is about what I want to say about actor. Just briefly, Vincent D'Onofrio. Holy shit, he is so fucking good. Just, like, yeah, just amazing as always. Like, I've never been let down by one of his performances, and this is one of his best roles, and he 100% brings it. Like, you know, it's been years since any of them played any of these roles, and they just slip right back into it like it's nothing. Yeah, he had a great moment, you know, coming down the hall. He knows how to the character knows how to make an entrance, you know, comes down the hall, Vanessa, and, you know, everyone leaves. And Lucas stays for, like, a second or two longer than anyone else, and I'm just sitting there like, Luca, how do you feel about your head still being attached to your body? Because are you really sure that you want to embarrass him in front of her? And, Dex in full bullseye mode was awesome. The knives, like, holy shit. And he just keeps, like, because he knows, you know, Daredevil's probably going to be there. It's better bring knives, you know. Be prepared. And, I could go on forever just about the one-taker, which I know, not technically a one-taker, it's stitched together, whatever, it's super impressive. I don't know that I would say it tops, like, Season 3 of Daredevil, or necessarily Season 2. I would say it matches, maybe tops Season 1 and Defenders. Let's see. Yeah, just a lot of great little things. You know, I already praised the smoke and the silhouette. I loved that there were other characters involved. You know, that I thought really added to it, and this element of, you know, okay, yeah, so Foggy's a goner. Karen's still right there, though. You better be able to protect, you know, Miss Nelson from Dex the Midnight Runner. And let's see, I was wondering, but I guess Kingpin really didn't send Dex. I mean, I can understand. I don't think Dex is really taking orders from Fisk anymore after he found out the truth, you know, a bit into Season 3 of Daredevil. But, you know, Fisk says, "I didn't send him," and Matt doesn't say, "I know you're lying," or something. So, yeah, based on his reaction, it seemed like he genuinely did. Yeah. Let's see. I do personally like the, I will acknowledge that the CG can be kind of obvious. I do like Daredevil being more acrobatic than he got to be on the Netflix show. Basically, if I understand correctly, on the Netflix show, if they couldn't do it practically without CG, they just weren't gonna, as far as acrobatics and such goes, fighting, well, mostly, obviously in Daredevil season 1, pretty early in the season as well, there's that guy who kills himself by like impaling his head. There must have been some CG to close the gap between the physical stunt that they made sure was safe, and then like the prosthetic head or whatever they, yeah. But yeah, I do that was one thing that I understood the philosophy, and I also appreciate they didn't have the money for that kind of CG. But that was something where I did feel like the 2003 movie did. I'm sorry, but reading the comics, like, yeah, we want him to be that kind of that level of acrobatic, and yeah, we see it here, we see it in She-Hulk. We didn't really see it in Netflix, but they got Marvel money now. Or Disney money, I suppose I should say. Technically, that was Marvel adjacent, at least. Anyway, let's see. Yeah, I like that. In order to keep Dex, like it's his equivalent of the mask for Hannibal Lecter. His hands are completely covered because they know if he's got like one finger free, he's gonna. Yeah, and that was also a great little moment. He picks the lock. And yeah, that had to be a reference to the movie, right? Because him impaling a fly with this little thing, yeah, I feel like, or possibly to the comic that also inspired that bit in the movie, something like that. Anyway, yeah, and I appreciate, they pushed the length. I'm not sure they pushed it past season 2 and 3, but it was like a 4-minute one-taker, which I think is around. I believe it tops Defenders. I forget about season 1 though of Daredevil. Anyway, I think that does cover that. Let's see. I do really appreciate that. Also heightened the emotion of the moment. We do briefly get to see, the 3 lawyers back at it again, happy together, celebrating, lawyer speaking, and the thing with, Foggy talking to Kirsten, or did they pronounce it Kirsten? I already forgot. Yeah, that was also great. Let's see, and yeah, he the abbreviation of the name, and then once we go to 1 year later, I was a little surprised that Cherry survived because we are told he's 2 hours away from retirement, but I'm glad. But yeah, 1 year later, Murdoch is working with Kirsten McDuffie, and yeah, Karen isn't there, and they haven't talked for a while. For weeks he wouldn't talk to her, and then she wouldn't talk to him. Understandably, really appreciate that they do show both sides of that. Let's see. And yeah, the complexity of this, because yeah, it hurts. She was there to apologize for not talking to him for a while, and to pay respects to Foggy. That was it. And it's. They stopped just short of him saying, "I wish you had told me you were gonna come." So I looked kind of like a fool up there on stage. I mean, on the stand, and her being like, "I was afraid if I said that, you'd say don't come." Now I think that does pretty much get us to... I like the chuckle at... didn't the girl you mentored shoot you in the face? And let's see... Yeah, and the thing about, he's not just going to register superhumans, which... I mean... See, that makes me wonder if She-Hulk is in continuity with the show, because, like... on that, he specifically said that the Sokovia Accords had been overturned. Although I guess you could still do it locally. Okay, objection retracted. But let's see, the other guy's just gonna register them, and that's like making a list of cancer. I am gonna treat them, Yeah, that's going to play well, obviously. The American people don't want to hear, oh, we're just going to watch as bad stuff happens. They want to hear, we're going to, go and stop it. And, let's see, yeah, the thing about, there will be consequences. I'm glad you understand. And, yeah, I think that covers... Right, and yeah, if I understand correctly, this first season is going to be like 18 episodes, so we're doing the thing of, oh, is Matt going to be Daredevil? I hope they don't draw it out for forever, but, the end of this episode does imply... Right, I just realized, I haven't said until now, I haven't watched episode 2 yet. It'll be probably the day after tomorrow, possibly tomorrow, but I'm thinking tomorrow's going to be Walking Dead. But yeah, I am aware that it is also on Disney Plus right now. But yeah, this episode, the way it ends, it seems like he's going to do vigilantism, because they could have had him walk away. He hesitates, we don't see him jump into action, but he doesn't just walk away either. And that... Oh, right, I like the introduction of Heather. Yeah, hasn't... Yeah, I liked her in the comics, so I don't know how much of that they're going to do, but it's great that she's there. And that was also a great little, okay, so if I'm gonna be your legal representation, I need to know what it's... And then she's like, I thought I was here to find out what you need therapy for, and they're both like, Kirsten. And the thing of, like, and he says, oh, what a waste of time. And she interprets as, it was a waste of time meeting you. And he's like, no, I mean, for both of us. I don't mean that you're wasting my time. I meant that, Kirsten fucked us both, just, yeah. He does make a fairly smooth recovery. He can charm anyone. But yeah, that was a great little... And the second date goes substantially better. Let's see, and the thing with the the overeager kid for the that's, people love you, there's memes, that's, yeah. And Fisk is like, where did you dig this guy up again? Just like, yeah. Let's see. Right, I like that Vanessa has made them clean campaign money. And I think that does pretty well. Right, Fisk's speech, acceptance speech, victory speech was also quite good. Yeah, as Movie Bob points out, Fisk is very clearly an analog for Donald Trump here, and yeah, I mean, it seems like the show is kind of going in the opposite direction to Falcon the Winter Soldier. Yeah, Jesus Christ. Captain America Brave New World. So once again, I realize that movie hasn't been out for forever. I will just briefly spoil something in that. You have been warned. in that one, they're very, like, wishy-washy and like, well, you know, he is the president, let's try to make the most of it. Yeah, he ends up in jail, but there is some hope that he'll be able to reconnect with his daughter. He tries to make things better over the course of the movie. You know, this one seems very much like, oh, no. You know, Fisk Trump. Trisk is very much like he is going to take revenge on his political opponents. You know, he's created, like, an external enemy. You know, we hear early in the episode people talking about, oh, you know, we need Daredevil back, you know, and Fisk comes along and says, no, we need to stop people like Daredevil, you know. And he also draws an equivalence, but, you know, he says, well, I was shot, yeah, but not by Daredevil, though. I mean, sure, arrest, you know, Echo, but Daredevil, you know, that doesn't, so, yeah, let's see, there is some equivalence there, you know, and it's also one of those things where, like, I'm sure there's people watching this show who, like, in real life do hate immigrants, but, like, oh, but, you know, no, vigilantes, like, most of them are, like, heroes, or yeah, a significant chunk of them in the MCU are heroes, you know, so I don't want him to stop them, you know, so, yeah, Trisk is a significantly more, you know, credible and realistic analog for Trump. And yeah, the hats are blue instead of red. They still have the 4-word, you know, slogan, Fisk will fix it. Presumably because make New York great again. It wouldn't have been more on the nose, but it would have been one more word, and I think they were going. Although I guess they could have shortened it to NY, but yeah. Let's see, and the episode ends with, you know, Daredevil, Matt considering to Daredevil, now that, you know, there are Trisk supporters eager at his win, physically assaulting someone who seemingly can't defend themselves. You know, this is not a fair fight. This is an actual physical assault. They feel emboldened by his victory, and yeah, that is indeed, sadly, something that has happened with Trump supporters. So, yeah. Really love this so far. So happy to have this back. And considering that there was a reference to Jerry Hogarth, maybe we're also getting more Jessica Jones. I really hope so. Like, in general, just, you know, other than Daredevil, please bring back, like, Jessica Jones is at the top of my list, but, you know, other than, yeah, also, please, Luke Cage. Maybe with Iron Fist, they can just, like, take Danny Rand out of the equation and bring in someone who is actually East Asian, so that it's not like this white savior, you know, thing. I would really like to see, like, I'm gonna try to get the right name, so I'm just real quick gonna look up. I would really love to see Colleen Wing. I feel so bad for Jessica Henwick. Like, I learned just recently, like, I knew about Iron Fist and Matrix 4, which are both, you know, obviously the people working on them would have liked for there to be more. That's right, she's in Glass Onion. I gotta fucking watch those movies. I really want to watch both of those Benoit Blanc movies. Anyway, I just is that the Underwater, the Kristen Stewart? Okay, maybe I should watch that. I've been kind of going back and forth on that. Anyway, oh yeah, she was in Force Awakens. I vaguely recall, but yeah, you know, I just recently, there was a video right here on YouTube pointing out, you know, Blade Runner Black Lotus was also a complete failure. Like, I feel so bad for Jessica Henwick. She really deserves so much better. She's so talented. But yeah, also Alice Eve as Mary Walker would be awesome to see again. You know, just, yeah, like, honestly, other than Danny Rand, I will watch any, well, I'll still watch, but I would love to see any of the Iron Fist main and major cast. I want to see more wonderful conflict between Joy and Colleen. I want to see Colleen do another spit take and say if she makes one more reference to, what was it, to the Upper East Side that's negative, I will, you know, what did she say? There was some kind of, she was going to injure her in some kind of serious way, you know, that's just, yeah. Yeah. So that's my wish list. Thank you for paying attention, Kevin Feige. But seriously, though, even if nothing else comes of this than just Daredevil, this is still amazing. Yeah, really, really happy to have this back. So glad that there was enough negative attention around the original, you know, where they... Yeah, I'm not going to relitigate. We already... You know, you probably know the details of what this show was originally going to be before they brought all these people back that worked on the Netflix, you know, but yeah, that is one thing, like, I'm not making excuses for Disney. They do a lot of things wrong. They definitely need to treat their employees better, but every so often they do really listen when the feedback is, you know, reasonable, sometimes when it isn't, because, yeah, like, I'm sorry, the reason that the idea of more Daredevil was so enticing to so many people was because it would hopefully be more of Marvel Netflix and not just something else entirely. But yeah, they listened. This is more of Marvel Netflix, and I'm here for it.